Hey Moon lovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And I am very excited today because this is my 50th episode. Not my 50th birthday, unfortunately. That was like 4 years ago. But yes, All Things Moon podcast 50th episode. I've made it. So I still can't believe that this is episode number 50. And I would like to ask you for my 50th podcast birthday if you would press the like button, please subscribe to my channel, share my podcast with your friends or anyone you think would benefit from listening to some lunar wisdom to help them with their everyday life. And to celebrate, so if you could do that for me, what I am doing, I was thinking, what could I offer that I could take 50% off of? Because that's a massive, massive offer, isn't it? Because I am still offering 22% off of a personal birth chart reading. So that's where you get an hour and a half of my time and we dive deep into your own personal chart. We look at things that can reassure you and give you relief and help you to get to understand yourself better. But we can also look at maybe things that have occurred in the past to help explain them. And we can also maybe have a look a little further down the road and see what the forecast has in store for you. So there's still 22% off of that with the discount code Space Girl 22. And I will put all of that in the show notes. But today, just until this time next week, so for 1 week only, I am offering 50% off my Be Your Own Alchemist package. Because I went to my website and I had a little look at my services and I was like, oh my gosh, I've actually forgotten that I even offer this. So listen to this. Be Your Own Alchemist is spiritual lifestyle alchemy. So what is an alchemist? An alchemist is someone who transforms things for the better in a seemingly magical way. So it's transforming you in a magical way. So that's what this package is intended for. So it's going to help to guide you to deeper levels of yourself and illuminating in magical ways, basically. Because I believe what the world needs most from all of us is to know who we truly are. And the more of us that know who we truly are will make the world a better place. Can you imagine if all 8 billion plus people in the world got to know and understand and forgive themselves and know their potential and work towards that potential, knowing their own unique birth charts? Can you imagine what kind of world we'd live in? But anyway, if you want to experience this, it's kind of like a whole month of magical offerings. So you will get a Moonology reading, which gives you a whole year's worth of new moon and full moons and where those, which house areas of life that will fall in according to you and your rising sign. I'm going to give you a mini birth chart reading. So that's like a half an hour reading where we can discuss, one specific thing if you wish, or we can just do a very general chart reading, which covers things other than just your moon. And then also you get to attend 2 of my online moon ceremonies, a new moon and a full moon ceremony. And if you can't attend that live because of the time of where you live, then you will receive the recording from me so you can do it in your own time. And you'll also get a coffee oracle card reading where we sit and have a little coffee together and I read the oracle for you, pull some oracle cards. So amazing offer, 50%. The code for that is Alchemist 50. And again, I will put that all in the show notes. And good luck. I hope you get to listen to this and take that offer up in time before next Sunday. So, where are we this week? So, last week we had the new moon in Gemini, and we also have Mercury in Gemini. And I have got to say, my key words for that was chatty, 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 think, think, think. And it has definitely been, for me personally, a week of overthinking. My moon is in Virgo, and Virgos can be overly analytical. They're very good at analyzing stuff. But when the moon is in Virgo, if you have your moon in Virgo, it means emotionally you are the archetype of Virgo. So you tend to analyze everything that's going on the inside in your inner world. And this week, with this Gemini and Mercury energy, because Mercury is also the ruler of Virgo, the overthinking, analytical mind has been on full overdrive. So, also this week, it's definitely a bit sparky because we have Venus currently still traveling through Aries, the fire sign, and we have Mars still traveling through Leo, the fire sign. And today, it's Sunday, the 1st of June. Can't believe we're in June already. We have Mars conjunct the moon today in the sign of Leo. So that kind of energy that we've got going on, it's perfect for the Yoga Wild Man retreat that Tom is currently at over at the Wild Retreat in Sawbridge Worth, which is just over the border from Essex into Hertfordshire here in the UK. So they've been outside gathering round the fire, doing a bit of breath work and qigong, and what else have they been doing? Paddle boarding and barbecue and stuff like that. So, and collectively, they probably had some music and a DJ and were dancing in the woods last night as well. I don't know. I haven't heard from him at all. So, but perfect energy for, festivals, creativity, doing something spontaneous as well. So it's quite a passionate energy because Venus is desire and, love and creativity, and Leo is that as well. Mars is all action. So it could be quite a fiery, short bursts of energy, this suggests to me. Like you have this burst of energy and then you've got to lie down for a little while because you were so spontaneous, you surprised yourself. And also maybe a bit of impatience. So I felt that impatient feeling today. So I've been doing all kinds of things to chill myself down. I've got my beautiful roses here. So I've been out in the garden tending to the plants. I've got an abundance of roses. So I've brought some of these that are kind of, almost ready to drop on the floor. I've brought them into the house. So I can sit and admire them. And I've got my candle burning here, and I have some Flow Nootropics coffee. So that's a mushroom coffee, but this is the one I think that's got ashwagandha in it. Can't remember, but something that's good and calming for me. And I've also had the urge this week to take some blue lotus flower. Now, I kind of thought that was a bit crazy because with this overthinking mind that I've got, blue lotus flower usually shows up when you're asleep. That will be where you know if you've had too much of it. So it can give a nice kind of sense of euphoria and calm and, just a general sense of feeling better and a good sense of well-being when you take it. But in your sleep, it does help you to have much more lucid dreams. So I've been having some crazy ass dreams with all this chaos, but I figured, we process in our dreams, and we can ask for some answers in our dreams. So a little bit of dream work this week to utilize this overthinking mind that I have right now. So we've still got Mercury with the Sun. It's still in a little wide conjunction to the Sun in the sign of Gemini. So, it's a very high time of communication. Geminis love a chat. They love a bit of gossip. They would make really good journalists. Mercury is all about how we communicate. It's all about short trips, about knowledge, a thirst for knowledge. And we've also got Jupiter still in Gemini until the 9th. So we have 1 week to go, just over, until Jupiter crosses over the border into the sign of Cancer. And me personally, I can't wait for that energy, being a Cancerian, and Jupiter being the benefic planet, especially if you have a daytime chart. So if you were born, your time of birth is in what's considered to be the daytime, when the sun is up before it goes down, then Jupiter is your more benefic planet. And Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So I will be diving into that as we go into it with a little bit more information. But as I said, we still have Jupiter in Gemini, and because it's just about to move signs, it's at those final degrees. So I think today it's at 28 degrees. So this week it will be moving into that 29th anaretic critical degree. It's that time when the strength of Jupiter in Gemini at its last moment will be exaggerated, because Jupiter expands and exaggerates and overdoes and brings out the truth in a big way. So I know for myself that Jupiter has been traveling through Gemini in the 7th house of relationships since it's been there. So again, it will be a relief for that to move on. But we've got this last week of that very strong energy. So communications, overthinking, truth, bombs, stuff like that, all around whichever house area Gemini is in your chart. So if you're not sure, just send me a message and we can take a look at your chart and see where it's been showing up and where it's going to show up when it moves into the sign of Cancer. So the moon is, as I said, currently with Leo at the moment as I'm talking, but tonight the moon will move into the sign of Virgo. And remember, the moon moves every 2.5 days roughly, so it moves pretty fast. But it's moving into Virgo for the next couple of days. So any chance of my overthinking, analysing mind, not being on full speed ahead is unlikely. But because I am aware of this, I can be, I can make sure that it doesn't end up being a destructive overthinking. So what I have been tending to do is to kind of take myself into observer mode of my own mind. So I let it go. I just let it go and run like a child, wild and free, making up stories as it goes. And then I kind of, listen and look at those stories that my child, creative, wounded mind creates, and just sit with that for a little while and realize that, it's amazing how we can create stories in our mind that just aren't true. And what I also do is I notice what those stories feel like in my body and think, well, does that feel true? Or am I just making that up? It doesn't feel very nice. Why would I do this to myself? All of those kind of things. So very analytical, very Virgo, but not allowing it to take over and become my behavior. That's what I'm being very mindful of. So just a little bit of advice and a tip for you there is to maybe, go for a run. I could see that over at Sobridgeworth at the Wild Retreat, there were some people paddleboarding this morning, and that would be a perfect thing to do if you are in that overthinking space, that kind of flowing. You've got to concentrate and be present so you don't fall off into the water, but the water is a calming place to be, being outside, getting more in touch with yourself and your body and less with this thinking mind. So really try to do something that helps you to not encourage that, and helps it to be a lot calmer and keep yourself, doing something, being a little busy. Go for a run if that's your thing, or meditating can be good, but if you're overthinking, you might find that meditating is a little difficult. So I really do think, going getting your feet on the ground and getting into your body is a much better way. Getting on my yoga mat down here and moving in a way that feels good and calming and helps me to feel safe and secure in my own body, so that these little thoughts that escalate drop into that safe and secure zone that Cancerians love to be in, out of kind of the, fear zone of making up stories. Anyway, so by Wednesday, this buzzy energy is going to keep going on. But by Wednesday, it should calm down a little bit as the moon moves into Libra for a bit of balance. And then by the end of the week, Venus, who's, on fire in Aries at the moment, is going to move into Taurus. And Taurus is her palace. It's where she's at home and she can have her creature comforts, where she can be sensual, get a massage, and be in her much more feeling homely, more practical, grounded, earthy space. So that's by Friday, into the comfort zone a bit more. So tomorrow we arrive at the first quarter moon phase since the new moon in Gemini. So the first quarter moon phase is where we've set our intentions at the new moon. So if you know what house area that new moon was falling in for you, so that was for me, it was in the relationship house. We would have set our intentions based on maybe some journaling prompts that I did give at the new moon ceremony. And I think I gave some out on the podcast last week as well. Those intentions that we set as we arrive at this first quarter moon, as the moon is, just, you can only see half of it, is the point where we first come across maybe an obstacle or a challenge that gets in the way of those good intentions that we set. So, I've been fully aware of those for me this weekend. Mostly mine is my own mind. So the Oracle journaling prompts. So what I do at a new moon and a full moon ceremony is I give you some journaling prompts. And whilst we're collectively pondering on those same questions, all with our different answers, I pull some Oracle cards just to back up those questions. So I'm going to do that live today. So I'm just going to give you these, and obviously I'm just going to pull one card out here for the general theme of these questions, or maybe two will come out, who knows, we'll let the Oracle decide. But a journaling prompt for you based on that new moon phase that we've just been in, coming into this first quarter moon phase, bearing in mind that there may be some challenges or obstacles coming up for you at this present moment. And you may not know the house area that it falls in for you, but it will probably be obvious. And if I told you, you'd go, oh yeah. So what truths need to be spoken What conversations are you ready to begin? So what truths need to be spoken, and what conversations, this card, are you ready to begin? And what stories are you telling yourself that no longer serve who you are becoming? What stories are you telling yourself that no longer serve who you're becoming? Well, there we go. I had the urge to keep going there, and 3 cards came out, and I can see one of them. The second card came out on after what truths need to be spoken and what conversations are ready to begin. Just before, what stories are you telling yourself that no longer serve who you're becoming? This card, I'm just going to tell you about this one first, but it was the second card that came out. But this is the card with Pinocchio on it, with his long nose, a tall tail, sitting on his top hat there. I mean, you know, the oracle has spoken. Stop telling lies to yourself and stories that aren't true, Kelly. Also, we have this card, the Time Machine, come out. So this one here, the Time Machine. Sorry if you can't see this and you're just on audio, but on Spotify and YouTube you can see me. And this one is Close Encounters, with a butterfly flying free from a cage. So I'll elaborate on that in a moment. But as I say, what house area is this falling on for you? 7th house of relationships for me. And I feel like, my creative story mind is on overdrive. And what springs to mind is the story of the magic porridge pot. she wishes for more porridge, and it just keeps on spilling out over the edges. She just can't stop the porridge from coming thick and gloopy. So, but I am really, really grateful for the fact that I know all of this stuff and the likelihood of it coming up in these areas. So, let's have a look. So these are the Colette Baron Reid books, and I think I need say no more when it comes to the tall tale card. But let's see what the Time Machine card. I'm just going to get my glasses. I've gone without headphones today. You may have noticed the recording quality isn't as good without headphones, but I just didn't want to listen to myself any more than was necessary. But I do need my glasses. So the Time Machine, what does that mean for us? So it's all about inherited patterns, conditioning, lessons that we've already learned. It's that cellular memory. And, if we've got these patterns keep playing out over and over again over time, it's time to do something about them. And if you're having trouble doing that on your own, so I've had one session of theta healing, which I think I told you about last week. And it's definitely integrated because I was really having trouble with my throat chakra and actually trouble with swallowing some food. I kept getting this panicky feeling about choking on my food, and that has definitely become less. I've been able to eat a little bit more easily and speak a bit more easily and speak those truths more easily. But I'm definitely going to have more of those sessions. One is not enough because I can, from this observing of the stories that my mind creates, I know that there is a pattern there that has been installed over time that needs to be uninstalled. And just trying to do that myself is quite difficult. So, go and seek out somebody that can help you with this stuff. There's so many people trained in beautiful modalities that can help. with this stuff out there. So theta healing helps to uninstall beliefs that are not serving you, and it goes straight to the creator to do that. So yeah, it's stories that we inherit from our ancestors, our culture, the world around us. And then as we develop new stories in our life, we're building them on those old foundations, which is very, very applicable to Saturn having just moved into Aries, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So, you know, we need to ask ourselves in this situation, what can I learn from those who came before me? And, you know, how can I build on what I already know and integrate this understanding, and what might I do differently? So basically what I've been saying, the tall tale card, just in case those of you wanting to know, because we kind of know already what that means, but just to back it up, the concepts are denial, concealing the truth, you know, so that you can manipulate and control a situation, fear-based communication, creating a narrative to hide behind, not allowing the fear of what others think to influence your words, and learning to communicate from a place of authenticity. But the first line of it here says you or someone else is telling a tall tale right now. You always know if a falsehood is spoken because it doesn't feel grounded. And so that's another way, dropping into your body and noticing whether, if that thought makes you feel over the place and ungrounded, then it's not true. You need to feel it really strongly in your body. Is this true? Yeah. So, you know, whatever lie you're caught up in, it's, you know, don't believe that the truth is that we are good enough, you know. So rewriting those stories for ourselves. And the close encounter card, because we are going on time now, and I want to fit in a little bit about Saturn in Aries, and to tell you that I will be doing a little online workshop about Saturn in Aries, and also about Jupiter in Cancer, and later on about Uranus moving into Gemini. I'm going to do some little short online workshops, which you can either attend live or you can buy the recording afterwards. So yeah, the close encounter card. So this is the one with the butterfly escaping the cage. Well, there is a butterfly in a cage and there's one outside of the cage. So vulnerability as a strength, letting others see your wounds as well as your strength, and setting healthy boundaries. So this is a time of connection that asks for you to be vulnerable and authentic. Let go of any social masks, yep, behind that tall tale that we're telling, to lower our shields and allow yourself to step into a dance of intimacy. So, you know, it's vulnerable to speak our truth, yeah. But this time of Mercury in Gemini, we need to be communicating our truth. We really do. So hopefully those messages help you. If you've got any questions about any of that, please do contact me. You know, I keep saying, you know, please contact me. I love to talk. I love to chat with people. So, you know, so just coming back to what I was talking about, Saturn. So Saturn is about foundations and structure. And last week, the day of our beautiful lunar flow retreat, let's take these off, our beautiful lunar flow retreat that me and my friend Natalie Day did together. We did 2 Strala yoga sessions, ended up being an astrology lesson. It was supposed to be a moon ceremony, but it really ended up being an astrology session because we had lots of people with lots of questions. So I've actually booked a few people in off the back of the 2 retreats that I've done recently. So next week I am full on astrologer. I've got quite a few clients booked in, 2 in one day and stuff like that. So busy, busy, busy for me coming up with that. And we did a lovely sound healing, and Natalie did some Reiki and crystal healing for people, and had a wonderful day. And that day was significant because Aries, Saturn moved out of Pisces, where it's been for 2.5 years, swimming around, floating around, trying to build some structure on an illusion. So that Neptune energy that we had going on in there as well. Neptune moved a little while ago into Aries, and now Saturn has joined Neptune at the very beginning degrees of Aries. So Neptune dissolves, and it can be illusion. We can get that disillusion come from when it dissolves something and the truth is revealed, and Saturn is that reality. So it's coming to tell you the real truth of the matter. And that energy of endings was so strong with all those planets in Pisces, moving backwards and forwards between Aries and Pisces. But now we have this forward motion. But that's not quite the truth, because Saturn is going to remain in Aries until September the 2nd, and then is going to retrograde again back into Pisces for until February next year, around about Valentine's Day time. And then it will be in Aries then until April the 14th, 2028. So really what we're doing now is we're getting a taste of what's to come once that forward motion happens from next February. So until September, we can see what this energy of Saturn in Aries is likely to bring. And it really, really brings up questions around structure and leadership. What is leadership? Who is in charge? Why are we letting them be in charge? Who should be in charge? Who can lead? Who's a natural leader? Who shouldn't be leading? All things like this. Where are we headed? Long-term goals. Saturn. Yeah, it's that Capricorn energy of long-term goals. And it's asking for, in Aries, that new beginning, pioneering spirit of Aries is asking for new leadership, new leaders with a healthy sense of responsibility. It also, more than anything though, is asking us to take responsibility for our own personal authority. Bearing in mind that Saturn is considered to be the lord of karma. So we're going to see some of that karma as Neptune dissolves. Yep. Dissolving the dream, but also Saturn can put structure and foundations into the dream. Aries is all about moving forwards, taking action. Saturn is about restrictions, putting some rules in place and boundaries in place so that you can take action on your dreams, but in a realistic, mature, responsible, and long-term goal way. That's it in a nutshell, really. But I think, Saturn tends to press on the areas of our lives where we need to take more maturity, more responsibility, where we need to step up, be a grown-up. Yeah. It highlights where we need to do our most growing up. It encourages us to take ownership of our life, responsibility for ourselves. Yeah, and Aries is all about the self. So I think, without going into any more detail about that, it makes me think of the Hopi prophecy. And Tom and I did a gong bath on Friday night, and the theme of that was time for change. And at the end, I was called to play the Hopi prophecy whilst everybody was in there just coming back from outer space. Very, very powerful Saturn gong bath. And you might notice that Saturn, the gong, is not behind me. If you normally watch this podcast, it's not behind me because Tom has got Saturn with him at the Yoga Wild Man retreat. So Saturn is getting played a lot. I took Saturn with me to the yoga retreat last weekend as well. So that very strong, powerful, deep, serious Saturn energy. And I played that Hopi prophecy at the end, just so we reiterate that message of, in other words, if you like, to not look outside of ourselves for the leader. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Back to self. So I really, really believe, because I'm a big picture person, and that's just going to get greater now that Jupiter is moving into my home sign of Cancer on the 9th of June. I really think, in the grand big picture, if you can really pull yourself up and away and look down at the greater story of things, all of this illusion and deception and this can't trust any news that we hear anymore. I'm still amazed that people believe everything that they're hearing on the TV and the radio and the papers, and they get so caught up in stuff that they really don't know that's true. And it's because we've been pulled outside of ourselves, which is why I'm so encouraging of you to get into your body, get to know and understand yourself better, be your own alchemist, because this big picture is bringing us back to self. The one person that we can trust should be us. And if we all trusted ourselves more and we were all connected with ourselves more, then we will be able to trust each other more. So, just to remind you, this is my 50th episode, and there is a 50% discount off of Be Your Own Alchemist package. The code is Alchemist50, that's all in capital letters, and I'll pop all of that into the show notes. And please, just to remind you to press the like, the subscribe button, to share, and help me get this out into the world, and help me fulfill my purpose in the world, which is sharing all of this information with you. Lunar wisdom for everyday life. So I'm going to sign off there and go get myself some food because it's halfway through the day already. And I will see you all next week.